What if I told you that you don't need $1 million to have a millionaire's mindset? That simply having a desire, simply having the mindset can set you up towards your path to being a millionaire. Hi, I'm Aslam Khatri. Welcome to The Growth Gap. This is where we discuss about your successes. This is where we discuss about your plans, your aspirations, and your hopes. And I hope to talk to you about things that can just make it easier for you to get from where you are to where you want to be. Let me assist you bridging the gap that you're looking for in your growth. But before I start today's episode, I have a simple request. I ask that you subscribe to my channel. This way it'll mean a lot to me, and I can truly do many more episodes like this for you. So thank you for doing that. It would truly mean a lot to me. You see, millionaire's mindset that's what it is. It's the mindset. Now, there are two types of people, right? There's one which has, according to a professor, Dr. Carol Dweck, that there are two types of people. One has a fixed mindset, while the other has a growth mindset. So what is a fixed mindset? Fixed mindset is somebody who is always telling to themselves that things will not work, that they were born the way they were born and they're going to stay that way. They do not see any riches. They do not see any progress in their life. All they see is the difficulties, a 9-to-5 job, and that's what they feel. They feel the system is rigged against them. They feel that nobody's going to help them. So they basically sit back and do nothing. Versus a growth mindset, which says, there are tremendous amount of opportunities, and I am no different than another successful person that I can be. So how do we take ourselves out of a fixed mindset and get into a growth mindset? And if we can break that down, and if we can open up that particular mystery, then we truly have achieved what we want to achieve in our life, and that is the growth. The growth mindset comes in from understanding, from first having that desire. Nothing happens, nothing starts without a desire. So unless you are just that type of a person who lays down on that couch and don't want to do anything, which is certain people, but most of the people have the desire to do something. And they say, how do I get from point A to point B? What is that? How does that desire bring me to that place? Well, if you have a growth mindset, then that growth mindset will basically take you where you can start seeing opportunities. You see, when you start looking at the opportunities around, that's when you start visioning and start to visualize that there are so many opportunities that are available to you. Now, it sounds as simple as it is, but that's what it is. It is when you start visualizing and when you start having that abundance mindset, which says that, yes, I can grow. I can do exactly like the other person who has grown. That's when you start looking. This is when you start thinking about, this is where you vision your new life. And as you vision your new life, as you look at your new life, you start to make a plan. So it is a simple steps, but it takes you into the new you, the new version of yourself. So what you have done now is you have at least recognized that the opportunities, that A, you have the desire for the opportunity, B, that the opportunity exists. Now that the opportunities exist, now you're starting to make your plan, because now all of a sudden you see yourself with a vision. You see yourself in a bigger home. You see yourself with a family. You see yourself driving a better car, and so on and so forth. And you start to realize that everything is possible. So once you do that, this is when you have truly got yourself into a growth mindset. And the growth mindset is the millionaire's mindset. You don't have to have $1 million to have a millionaire's mindset. You have to have a growth mindset. So once you have thought of that, once you have started to realize that there is so much available out there, you need to understand, or you need to learn, what are the traits, what are the successful people do, what are the traits of some of or all of the mindset of millionaires. And those, again, are simple rules that they follow. And those rules and those traits and those habits then turn into, as I said, they start with the abundance. So once you have the abundance, and once you see that the abundance is there, then you look for the opportunities. So how do you find those opportunities? The opportunities are everywhere. You see, each city, each country has its own chamber of commerce, has so many places where you can go and get together and start networking with the people. See, there's always somebody selling, and there's always somebody buying. Every time I, in my life, thought that something was impossible, I found out it was more possible. I'll give you one very, very simple example. We were in the home construction business, and we were selling certain products that went into the houses. Now, the normal wisdom is to go to your distributor and sell your products. And one of my agents suggested that we go see an architect, a designer. And I said, but designers don't buy my product. He says, no, let's go see the designer, show them what your products are. So we walk up, we have a meeting with them, we show them our product, and the results were just amazing, because they looked at our product and they say, we haven't seen this product. And one of them went forward and he said, I wish people would come and see us, because we're the ones who put products in new construction or in renovations. But if we don't know if it exists, then how are we going to know? So we went. It was just the point that I'm trying to make is, when everybody is buying something, everybody is looking for something. So networking is what these people do. The millionaire mindset, that's what they do. They network. They go they go meet people. Harmozy has more than 100 companies that he's invested in. And he just didn't go one day and buy them by dozens. What he did was he acquired one company at a time, meeting different people, looking for different opportunities. That's what the millionaires do. They look for the opportunities. They look to see where is the opportunities, because their mind is always open, as they know that there's abundance. So there is the market. The second thing that is very special in millionaire mindset, and that is the calculated risk. They always take calculated risks. By this I mean that you just don't go out and invest in something that you believe will not do anything, but maybe I'll get something done. No, they take calculated risk. A calculated risk is where you say, what do I have to lose versus how much can I gain? And that within the parameters of what I have to gain, type of a thing. So they take calculated risks. I'll give you an example of, I was in a meeting, wasn't long ago. It was a seminar. I was giving a seminar, and it was closed. behind closed doors. At the question period, somebody said to me, he said, well, I have a great opportunity right now, but I don't know how to finance it. And my first answer was very simply, why don't you go to the banks? Because the banks are the first who would finance if you have a great business project. To which he answered, well, I would love to do that, but they want me to sign personally. And I was kind of surprised with the answer, because yes, that is one of the things that the bank wants you to do, because if they are going to put up all the money for your project, then it's an easier thing for you to just sign that if something goes wrong, you're in partnership with them. But all your gains are your own. So you see, here's the calculated risk. If you cannot take that risk, then you will not do the project. Or you will do the project by bringing in a partner who you give 50% to. So calculated risks is something, it may be different to everybody else, but that's where the mindset goes and takes the calculated risk to see, what is my next step? What is the next thing that I can do? How can I grow from where I am to the next step? You see, the other thing that is the biggest habit and a trait of a millionaire mindset, and that is resilience. You see, you, regardless of how many calculated risks, how calculated your risk is, there are chances that things will go wrong. I mean, no, even if you have a closed mindset, you could be working at a factory and be laid off because the factory just decided to close. So there's always risks even to the closed mindset, but for the open mindset, they are very resilient. Whenever something happens, they bounce back. At my very early stage of my professional life, I was working with some clients, and one of my clients was in packaging business. They were growing at a very good pace, and something happened. They picked up a bigger client than they could really handle, but they picked the client up and they start supplying to that client. Without doing very much of due diligence, they started to ship the goods to that particular client, only to find out that at the end, that particular customer was going bankrupt and was unable to pay them the dues, the accounts receivable that were supposed to collect from them, which basically resulted in a very simply bank calling the loan, and they had to declare bankruptcy. Now I was very young. I was starting at that time, and I felt very bad for them. And we sat down the day after the bank had called the loan. We sat down, we talked about it, and they said, "Look, we took a chance, and we lost on this one. We will have to close the business. But one thing we know is this business. So we will restart." They restarted. They made sure that next time they do not lose on their receivables. They made sure that they do proper due diligence. And before you know, they were back in the business, in the same packaging business, and they had done much, much better. So you see, the resilience is very important when it comes to millionaire mindset. The other thing that is very important is they always leave something on the table. You see, the basis of any business, the basis of anything that we're doing has to be based on a win-win situation. When you leave something on the table, we acquired a lot of companies. So the company that I was working with, I had a small partnership and we started acquiring companies. It was a parochial company that we turned it into an international. We started acquiring companies in North America, and then we expanded into the European areas. And each time we were buying a company, it was a different circumstances. It was a different need for the people who were selling us the company. So every time we sat down and we negotiated, there was much more than just numbers. There was much more than dollars and cents. There was always something that we needed to leave on the table for the vendor to sell us the company, because they needed to be satisfied. We bought the company because we wanted to grow those companies. And that was our business plan. But the person who was selling it, we needed them too. We needed them eventually to help us do certain things. So very important, and one of the most important things is to leave something on the table, is to say, what is your win-win situation? You see, these are just few traits that we talk about today, and we can continue to talk about this type of a subject, because when you start breaking down, when you start looking at the end of it, it is so simple. It just starts with a mindset, which is, what is your mindset? How much are you willing to grow? Because it's like I said before, it is all up to you. The growth, they say, it's your growth is truly connected to how far can you think. And that's where the millionaire's mindset starts. Now, this doesn't have to be only in business. This doesn't only have to be in dollars and cents. This goes much beyond that. Because once you start having that mindset, you start helping out. You start helping out the society. You start becoming a better person in the society, because now you're thinking not only for yourself, you're thinking for the society as a whole. And that brings in a certain satisfaction. That satisfaction that you can then couple with your wealth, with your spoils, if you want to call it. So the millionaire's mindset is what, as it is said, it is a mindset. It's a growth mindset. It's a mindset which says that I have the desire to grow. And once you have that desire, from there, abundance, everything is open to you. Everything is available. So we'll leave it at that on this episode, and we will continue to talk more and more. Now, if you feel that there's somebody who needs to listen to this, please forward it to them, and please subscribe to my channel. I'm Aslam Khatri. Till next time, goodbye.